What the fuck is up, everyone? Prison Miller here, back with a brand new album review. Today we will be reviewing Between the Buried and Me's new album, The Blue Nowhere, which was released today. And as I know, throughout Between the Buried and Me's discography, I did a ranking every Between the Buried and Me not very long ago. And as you may know, Between the Buried and Me has a really solid discography. They're easily one of the best metal bands throughout the 2000s. As you may know, Colors is probably my favorite metal album in the 2000s. Colors is definitely a classic. Colors 2, I would say it's almost just as good as the first one. Parallax 2, another amazing album. They just have a really solid discography. I've said this before, if y'all are new to Between the Buried and Me, I would start with Alaska. I would start with that. The last albums you would want to hear is their first two albums. I'm not saying those albums are terrible. It's just their worst album in the discography. It's definitely the first two albums are their weakest. Start with Alaska all the way up to their recent album, and then listen to the first two albums last. But anyways, yeah, guys, on to the new album, The Blue Nowhere, and I thought this was a fantastic record. They really did not disappoint. They usually don't disappoint when it comes to new Between the Buried and Me albums. As you know, the album starts off with the track The Things We Tell Ourselves in the Dark. I think it's their first single on the album. I'm not quite sure. I thought that was a really solid track. I like the funk elements to it with the really funky bass. I also like the 80s elements synthesizers to it. And it's got some great screams from Tommy Giles, and it definitely fits the tone with it. I actually dug the funky grooves on there. It's a really solid listen. I like some of the synthesizer drum beats here and there in the background. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty fun track to listen to. And then we got the next track, God Terror, which it kind of has more like this technical industrial sound to it, and it actually fits really good, especially with the intro to it. It's got heavy use of synthesizers. I mean, it starts off as the usual, it's metalcore sounding style of Between the Buried and Me. It's very proggy. It's got some really technical riffs, amazing streams, just like always with Between the Buried and Me, you know? I mean, I thought the industrial sound to it fits well with the tone of it. Now, onto this lyrical content, according to band members, like the opening track, Things We Tell Ourselves in the Dark. According to Tommy Rogers, who's the vocalist, the track emerged from the maniac genius of Dan Briggs. The song deals with the dark cloud that is ego, so I try to vocally approach it with a different kind of confidence than normal. Almost like a pop song. No, not pop songs today, as you know. But anyways, even though it takes you down crazy avenues, you can sit back and sing along. And I thought Dan Briggs did a really solid job with the funky grooves to it. I just thought it was a solid listen. Absent Thereafter is a really fun track to listen to. I mean, it starts off with this metalcore sound, and it gets a lot more melodic with this ambient synthesizer sound in the background, and it kind of goes back to a pretty unpredictable term, just like the usual Between the Buried and Me materials. It's got this clean bluesy sounding guitar riff, basically around the middle section with the really funky bass playing. I just thought that was a really fun to listen to, and it's got this guitar riff, dun 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 dun. I dug that. It's a really solid listen. Definitely dug the track. I pretty much consider this album as Coma Ecliptic, the heavier version of it. It's got a lot of great elements throughout. Like I said, it's got a mix of pop, 80s synthesizer pop elements on tracks such as the title track, The Blue Nowhere. It kind of has this 80s sounding pop to it, which I actually dug. I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, it's just one song, and it definitely fits the tone of the album, and I have fun with it. Then we have track 4, which is basically mostly an ambient type track up until the outro of it, which kind of has this musical-ish Broadway sounding with an acoustic guitar plating, which I thought that was pretty cool. It fits the tone. Tommy Giles pretty much has a character style singing to it near the end. Then we got Door Number 3, which starts off with this really heavy, groovy riffs with a few blast beats here and there. And then up until the second half of the album, it kind of changed more this avant-garde sound to it. It kind of has this cantina style acoustic riff, and then up until it kind of the riffs on near the end of the album kind of reminds me of Mr. Bungle a bit, like with their first album, with their self-titled album. Like, I'm not talking about the albums after that. Like, the second half of the song kind of reminds me of Mr. Bungle a bit. I mean, maybe a weird comparison, but it's mainly that it's mainly that certain riff that reminds me of it. And the next track, Mirador on Coil, which is basically a 50-second track, which is basically has some weird cartoon sounds to it, which fits the tone for it. It basically leads up to the next track, Psychomantium. It kind of starts off with this hardcore sounding riff, and it's got some of the avant-garde elements to it, like kind of similar to Mr. Bungle throughout, with this, it's got some like guitar sounding to it. No, I'm sorry, the piano sounding-ish to it. And I think it's an 11-minute track full of awesome, it's like an 11-track epic sounding track. Really amazing song. And then the next track, Slow Paranoia, has this sludgy, grooving sounding riff with pretty much some elements of jazz and a bit of an avant-garde tone to it, like just like as the usual last 3 tracks on the album. Really great stuff. I love the sludgy riffs. Great screams as usual from Tommy Giles. Great melodies. I like this synthesizer ambient sound to it in the background. Definitely fits the tone for it. Now, as for the track The Blue Nowhere, it's kind of like this poppy-ish tune with it's got a lot of elements of progressive space rock elements to it. I definitely think it fits the tone to it. Even though there's no metalcore elements on this track, it definitely fits the tone. I wouldn't compare it to like something that's from the Coma Ecliptic or something like that, but I actually dug the track. Really great stuff. And as for the closing track, Beautifully Human, even though it may not be a certain type of closing track that I want, it executed very well. Like, it's a lot more melodic. It's a lot heavier. I mean, there's no harsh vocals or any of that. I mean, I love the synthesizer 80s space rock stuff that's from the intro. It leads up to the heavier riffs to it. No, wait, I'm sorry. There's one part that had harsh vocals, but it's stuck together with the clean vocals. It's like it's mixed in together. I guess that counts. Almost forgot about that while I was talking about it. But anyway, it may not be the closing track that I like, but it really executed very well, and I actually liked it. I liked how the way it closed the album. Whether it's the way I wanted or not, I think it's a solid way to close the track, and I actually dug it. I thought it's really great. I love the outro to it, which I thought it was pretty interesting. It kind of feels like more like a cliffhanger to it, you know? As for my final thoughts, I thought this was a really fantastic album. Probably the best prog album of 2025. In fact, one of the best albums of 2025 for sure. I definitely enjoyed this album. It's definitely what I wanted from Between the Buried and Me, so I'm going to go for 4.5 to 5. I thought this was an amazing record. Definitely one of the best metal albums of 2025. That's for sure. I don't know which one I like more, that or Whitechapel's album, Hymns of Dissonance. But anyways, guys, I think their last album, Colors 2, is better than their new album. That's for sure. This Colors, I say it's almost just as good as the first one. I mean, if I would pick which one is better, like I said before, I would definitely pick Colors 1. There's no album that would beat Colors 1. That's for sure. Not even the Parallax. Not even Colors 2. And sure as hell, definitely not their new album. But anyways, I mean, Between the Buried and Me never disappoints. Like I said before, there is not one bad album by them. I think the lowest I would give on their worst album, I think I gave it a 2.5 to 5, which is the middle rating, and which is, I think it's their debut album that I think I give it a 2.5 to 5. Yeah, which I think that's their worst album, and I thought the album was fine. I mean, it was okay, but it's far from bad, you know? But it got a lot better as they progressed through on and on. Just like I said before, my ranking Between the Buried and Me album, and yeah, I mean, really great stuff. Between the Buried and Me never disappoints. They have not flopped ever since Alaska came out. They haven't flopped one bit. Even though the Call Me Ecliptic kind of somewhat little went down a hill, but it's still a really good listen. I definitely enjoy Call Me Ecliptic. It's got some really great stuff on there, but it definitely hit it up a notch a bit on the Automata records. So, yeah, guys, another great Between the Buried and Me album. Alright, guys, that's my review for the new Between the Buried and Me album. What are your thoughts on it? Do you like this album? Do you not like this album? And yes, guys, I will be reviewing the new Lorna Shore album. That will be my next review, so stay tuned for that. It probably won't be out today. It'll probably be out either the next day or two. Stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys later.